Now I would request and invite Dr. Shubha Phadke, who is the Chief of Medical Genetics, to introduce our next speaker, which is Dr. M. Naveed. Dr. Shubha, please.
Very good evening to you all. Respected Dr. Dhiman, Dr. Mishra, and dear Punita. Thank you very much for this emotional event, which is taking us down the memory lane. So today here I am to introduce my dear friend and my colleague since 1989. So we were co-students here. You can see the picture of Dr. Naveed as a student who was a trained, very well trained pediatrician from Bangalore when he joined SGPGI as a PhD student. I think he was the first PhD student of SGPGI-MS. He was a star student and continued to shine in the field of genetics and thalassemia since then. So when I started thinking about talking about Dr. Naveed and those times in 1989 and 1990, I realized that this was, SGPGI was not even in infancy. It was like probably just born. And my association with Dr. Naveed, I can say that we are sort of, I can describe as dizygotic twins reared apart. What I mean is that both of us, when we started learning genetics, developing, growing, and differentiating to become medical geneticists in 1989, it was, the field was just, we were sort of in the fetal life of medical genetics in India. And our mother department of medical genetics, this was like a primary mother who has lots of resources but no experience. So the department has lots of equipments, but neither we nor there were many teachers who knew everything about genetics and so on. So long ago, in very early of our studentship, we realized that if we do some lab work, and Dr. Agrawal's message was that every clinician should do some lab work. So we realized that if we do some lab work, then the diagnostics will be established, and then we can really become medical geneticists. So Dr. Naveed at that time chose to work in the area of thalassemia because thalassemia and hemophilia were the commonest and are the commonest genetic disorders. We were getting lots of patients, and there was no center in all over Uttar Pradesh to take care of these patients and provide diagnostic facilities. So Dr. Naveed took the mission to establish HPLC and mutation detection for beta thalassemia, and I chose to work on chromosomal disorders. So this helped him, though we retrospectively we can look back at that struggle of getting those investigations established and the technology established was very, very difficult. But now we can look back and understand that how important that struggle was, that polished our minds as well as brains. So this helped Dr. Naveed to complete his PhD in beta thalassemia. And then after doing his PhD, he also joined as DM medical genetics students in 1992. So a pediatrician who did PhD and then DM in medical genetics, and that too both from the same institute. I think this is a record, and especially a record in India, in SGPGI, probably nobody has yet broken. So with his excellent training in beta thalassemia, his experience in diagnostics and patient care, and especially passion for children with thalassemia. In general, passion for the, a lot of commitment to the patient care, he joined thalassemia specialist in Dubai. And he is a consultant geneticist in Ministry of Health and Prevention in UAE now. He was earlier, he worked as a director of planning and operations of SBK Foundation. Most important of because of his excellent experience in thalassemia, he is director of operations at the regional office of Thalassemia International Federation, Central Arab Genomic Studies. He established prenatal diagnosis facilities in Dubai. He is adjunct faculty at Dubai Medical College and UAE University. He introduced genetics at Dubai Medical College and started clinical genetics services in Dubai Health Authority in 1996. He is also a consultant geneticist and director of UAE Genetic Disease Association. And most important, he is also a member of Thalassemia International Federation Medical Advisory Board. So you can see that he is our ambassador in not only in UAE and Dubai, but also all over world. So with these words, I would like to remember Dr. Naveed's old photographs and also remember his hard work, his perseverance, and his passion for research, which really helped to make basic of thalassemia management as well as thalassemia diagnostics in SGPGI and our department. So because we shared, though we are in touch, but because of our sharing of SGPGI and medical genetics department struggle of establishing a new specialty and working in a lab-based specialty was really an experience. Both of us learned from each other, and I really fondly remember Naveed about taking care of patients, starting first patient support group, and also having blood donation camps for patients with beta thalassemia, and lot more to say. So I will request now Dr. Naveed to share his journey afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor V.K. Kapoor, Dr. Shubha, for the kind introduction. Thank you, Professor Dhiman, Professor Mishra, for inviting me to speak today. It's an honor, and I'm very pleased to be with you all. The progress I have made in the field of thalassemia starts from SGPGI, and that's what I'm planning to present in my talk. Very briefly about me, I did my MBBS from Bangalore Medical College, DCH from Mysore Medical College. Then to complete the rest of the requirements of DNB Pediatrics, I was in St. John's Medical College. Then I did PhD Genetics from SGPGI. After that, DM Medical Genetics. And after leaving SGPGI, I did my MBA in Healthcare Services and also postgraduate diploma in Hospital Management. I am in genetics because of Professor Manorama Thomas. She was the head of genetics and also anatomy at St. John's Medical College. When I was doing DCH, I learned and also did about 100 perinatal autopsies. One of them turned out to be a rare syndrome. I took those histopathological slides from Mysore to Bangalore to St. John's Medical College for second opinion with Professor John Thomas, the husband of Manorama Thomas. Dr. Thomas helped me to decipher the syndrome, and he also encouraged me to publish it. When the paper got accepted in American Journal of Medical Genetics, Professor Manorama Thomas was more happy than me. She visited my dad and convinced me that I should do further studies in genetics, and that's how I landed in SGPGI the cold winter of 1988 to give the first entrance examination. Professor S.S. Agarwal, what can I say? He is my mentor. I learned many things from him other than science and genetics. He was a father figure for me, and I always remembered him whenever I had any problem. PhD during SGPGI days was not easy. I had many fears. First of all is the career opportunities after finishing PhD. The uncertain duration of PhD, it could be 3 years or it could be 5 years. Most of the times you are in the lab, so there was a fear of losing clinical skills. And I had to survive on a fellowship of 1,800 rupees for the next 3 to 5 years. The biggest fear was Professor S.S. Agarwal himself. During those days, I met several people seeking guidance, and all of them have got something to say in common. Please don't take Professor S.S. Agarwal as your main guide. He is a perfectionist. He had many students in the past and nobody could complete under him. But that was a challenge for me. Rather, it is a motivation for me to do PhD. That became a motivation for me to do PhD. And I'm glad I became the first PhD student under Professor S.S. Agarwal. I gave many proposals to Professor S.S. Agarwal for my PhD thesis work, but he insisted that I have to take thalassemia for my PhD work. I did not realize the importance of this disease until I moved out of SGPGI. My co-guide was Professor Sarita Agarwal. I think she is here today. Thank you, Professor Sarita Agarwal, for all your help during the PhD period. My PhD topic was clinical, biochemical, and molecular characterization of thalassemia. If you ask me what is the most important out of all I have done in PhD times, is the HPLC work. This picture is very dear to me, not because of the instruments you see, because of the man who is standing next to me, Dr. Nagaraju. He is one of the guest speakers today. He will be speaking after me. He was my shadow, he was my guide, and he was encouraging me all along my PhD days. We were together in SGPGA for almost 6 years. A great friend, indeed. Part of my thesis work was molecular characterization of thalassemia. In those days, there was a lack of expertise in molecular genetics, and also we didn't have the right equipments to do molecular work. Two teachers I cannot forget. One is Dr. Vijay Yajnik. That time he was a PhD student at NYU. He was on a visit to Lucknow, that was his home. He showed us that you don't require high-end equipments to do molecular work. With 2 water baths and 1 heating block, he showed how to do PCR. We also learned from him several techniques in bacterial genetics. The second teacher is Professor Yukio Hattori, head of genetics at Yamaguchi University, Japan. He visited SGPGA with his team in 1991, and we learned a lot of molecular techniques under him. I'm continued to be associated with Professor Hattori even today, and I've done several projects under him. I'll be describing it at a later after a few slides. By the time I finished my PhD work, still the molecular lab was not fully established. There was no PCR machine in SGPGI. I had to take the samples to Delhi to the ICMR lab to finish the PCR experiments. And one good friend, Dr. Purnima Kishore, helped me in these PCR experiments. Professor Agarwal had nominated Professor I.C. Verma and Professor C.M. Gupta from CDRI as external doctoral committee members. I still remember the final doctoral committee where Professor I.C. Verma and Professor C.M. Gupta were arguing with Professor Agarwal that Naveed has done enough, let him submit the thesis. But Professor Agarwal was not happy. He sent my HPLC work to US to Professor Heisman for second opinion, and my thesis to Professor Bernadette Model. She is regarded as the mother of thalassemia. One of the greatest compliment I have received is from Professor Model. After several years after leaving SGPGA, I met her in one of the thalassemia conference that was at Malta. After her guest lecture, I introduced myself. I'm Dr. Naveed from India. She gave a pause and then she asked, "Did you get your PhD?" I think this is the greatest compliment I have in my career so far. An Young Scientist Award from Indian Society of Human Genetics and a publication in Indian Journal of Medical Research helped me to convince Professor Agarwal, and I could complete PhD under him. Other than doing DM medical genetics at SCPGI, I was involved with several other activities. One of them was helping to start a parent support group for thalassemia patients and their families. This is the file picture of the first meeting we had with parents and patients at SGPGA. This is the first blood donation camp at SGPGA organized by Thalassemia Society of UP. One of the star attraction during one of the meetings of Thalassemia Society. In the initial period, when there was no pediatrician in the staff clinic, I was helping SGPGI as a volunteer. In fact, I liked it because instead of just working in the lab all the time, I had some time to go to the clinic, okay, to see patients. Till Dr. Pali Bhattacharya joined, I was the pediatrician in the staff clinic. I took my first job in Dubai in February 1996. I joined the newly opened Genetic and Thalassemia Center. I started the first genetic clinic in Dubai and also initiated the prenatal diagnosis with the help of Dr. Natarajan from Nanavati Hospital and the team from UCL, and the first cord blood bank, first PGD, and a first cord blood transplantation for thalassemia patient in 2002 with the help of Dr. David Denison, and transplant was done at Muscat. One of the significant progress that happened in the last 20 years in Dubai, in UAE in particular, is start of prenatal diagnosis in this sensitive community. After starting the first genetic clinic in 1996, I kept on counseling the patients the importance of prenatal diagnosis and prevention. But it was not until 1998 the first patient agreed to go for prenatal diagnosis. And this patient went to UCL, to Dr. Mary Petro's lab, and the first prenatal diagnosis was done. From 1998 to 2002, about 66 families traveled to London for prenatal diagnosis. Of these, 16 were affected with thalassemia major. Fetuses were affected with thalassemia major. And they were all aborted. Luckily, in 2002, there was a backing from the religious groups from all the three schools of Islam that termination is allowed if it is before 120 days for thalassemia. And then suddenly there was an increase in number of families opting for prenatal diagnosis. And from 2002 onwards, on an average, we were sending 70 families abroad for prenatal diagnosis. And that was the time we felt that it is a time to start prenatal diagnosis in Dubai. And that was the beginning of prenatal diagnosis in UAE as such. After 9 years in government sector, I joined Canadian Specialist Hospital Dubai, and I was there for about 4 years. I was the founder, medical director, and also the director of laboratory. I started the first thalassemia daycare facility in this hospital, and also all the three sections of the genetic lab, and also prenatal diagnosis in the private sector. Thalassemia is also very common in the Mediterranean countries, and they had shown that with population screening, prenatal diagnosis, and genetic counseling, you can prevent the new births of children with thalassemia disease. At the time, the number of patients who are born to the Emirati Arabs were about 50 to 60 per year, almost one child per week. At one center, we had 700 patients with thalassemia major. Since the treatment for thalassemia is free for all patients in UAE, it was costing the government around 16 million dirhams. In those days, it was equivalent to 16 crore rupees. So something had to be done to prevent new births of children with thalassemia disease. The Ministry of Higher Education, His Highness Sheikh Nayan, and Her Excellency Dr. Mariam Attar, they understood the importance of population control program in UAE, and they started a project under the name of UAE Free of Thalassemia by 2012. It was started in 2007. By 2012, they wanted to decrease the number of births to almost to zero. His Highness himself led a countrywide campaign to spread the awareness about thalassemia disease and its prevention. And he also spread the message in universities and colleges, and this stimulated a lot of enthusiasm, and many students came forward for screening for thalassemia, and we collected the samples using mobile vans. We set up a central laboratory in Dubai, and that was the beginning of the National Thalassemia Screening Program in UAE. And I became the director of the laboratories, and I was with this organization for about 5 years. One of the important offshoot of this project was a premarital legislation in the country making thalassemia and sickle cell screening mandatory by law. Now, no marriages in UAE are approved by the court, whether it is for locals or expatriates, unless they go through screening for thalassemia and sickle cell, and they should also go through the counseling part. The another important offshoot of this project was setting up a high-end molecular genetics lab with the help of Professor Hattori, and we also started for the first time a student and technician exchange program between UAE and Japan. Management of thalassemia is not just blood transfusions and iron chelation with expensive medications. It is improving the quality of life of every patient and psychosocial support for patients as well as their families. This importance was realized, and at Dubai Thalassemia Center, we started giving a lot of attention to these areas. These are some of the file pictures. You can see the medical team to the Disney trip with the patients, a trip to the pilgrimage, celebrating the birthday of the patients in the center, group counseling sessions, public awareness in malls and in the schools. These are some of the activities that Thalassemia Center does other than taking care of clinical management of these patients. In summer of 2012, there was acute shortage of blood. One of the thalassemia patient tweeted His Highness, the ruler of Dubai, and telling the situation the thalassemia families are facing. In couple of hours, His Highness was in the center, interacting with the patients and the staff. And after that, he goes straight to the blood donation center and donates the blood. From that day onwards, there is no shortage of blood in the entire country for thalassemia patients. Just an example how leaders can influence a change. After successfully completing the Emirates Free of Thalassemia project, I was asked to join the private office of His Highness. He is the eldest Sheikh Sultan. He is the eldest son of the President of UAE, the current President of UAE. I became the Director of Planning and Operation for his organizations, and I was with him for almost 5 years. And what we did here was to replicate what we did in Dubai in rest of the countries. We set up multidisciplinary daycare facilities to cover both pediatric and adult patients. Thalassemia International Federation, which is based in Cyprus, they came to know the work that is going on in UAE. They approached His Highness for humanitarian help to help the neighboring countries to develop such centers. And that was the start of the first regional collaborating office of Thalassemia International Federation in Abu Dhabi. I was the head of operations from 2011 to 2016. I am no more the head of operations of regional office because I have other commitments to establish other genetic services in the Northern Emirates. But I'm still associated with Thalassemia International Federation in a different capacity. I'm one of the 7 medical advisors in TIF, and I am associated with the projects that happen in Middle East and Indian subcontinent. At present, we are working in Morocco, Mauritius, and also in India at CMC Ludhiana. I wanted to stop with this slide, but Professor V.K. Kapoor asked me to include few more slides. What message I can pass on to the students and young faculty? I can say about myself, when I was young, I always used to hear this phrase, follow your dreams, work hard, follow your passions. To tell you very frankly, this did not work for me. I wanted to be an engineer. I became a medical doctor because of pressure of my grandfather. When I finished my MBBS, I wanted to be a surgeon, but I became a pediatrician. I wanted to be a neonatologist. I became a geneticist. I had a high school teacher. When I joined medicine, he gifted me a copy of Gulliver's Travels. On the first page, he wrote these blessings. Let Almighty lead you to the peak of success. So I wanted to do something. Things did not happen. But when it did not happen, I accepted it as God's will and tried to, work hard and try to achieve success in that area. And Almighty has been very kind to me. Okay, in whatever I did, okay, I could succeed. This is what I can say to the youngsters, that sometimes it's good to dream, but sometimes dreams can materialize, sometimes they do not. But keep flowing. Whatever that comes, accept it and work hard. I'm sure you will also be successful at a later date. Professor V.K. Kapoor wanted me to say something what SGPGA can do even better than what it is doing now. I really don't know the ground situation of SGPGA, but what I hear from others is I don't think there is a central research laboratory in SGPGI. If it is there, please correct me. What I feel is technology gets outdated very fast, especially in the field of immunology and genetics. If you have a central research laboratory, there could be an easy access to costly equipments, easy access to technical expertise, and you can avoid equipment duplications. This will provide an atmosphere for a multidisciplinary research, and it can encourage residents to work with different departments. it's good to have a publication cell attached to a central research laboratory so that, okay, the team can help to review students and faculty members in publishing their scientific work. It's also nice to have a biostatistic and bioinformatics units attached to central lab so that experiments can be planned well and they can be concluded also well. This is my last slide, and I said what I can do to help SGPGI. I'm just recalling the discussion I had with Professor S.S. Agarwal on 2nd December 2013. That was the last day we saw him. We saw him in the morning, but he did not come for the gala dinner in the evening. But the discussion that happened during that morning, I'm just briefing you here. Professor Agarwal had come to Dubai and he has seen the Thalassemia Center in Dubai, and he knew what all I am doing in Dubai. He wanted such Thalassemia Center to be established in various parts of the country, especially in SGPGI. He was looking forward for a robust thalassemia control program, if not at a national level, at least at a state level. And he liked my proposal of setting up an MD program for thalassemia and hemoglobinopathies, because at present, thalassemia patients are taken care by hematologists or geneticists or pediatricians, and they cannot afford to give their full time and dedication to take care of this complex disease. What I can do is to help to set up a comprehensive care facility for thalassemia at SGPGI, and this could be the first in India. I can help to get accredited from TIFF as a Center for Excellence. I think with this, I will stop here. And once again, I thank Professor Dhiman, Professor Mishra, Professor Shubha, Professor B.K. Kapoor, and I see a lot of teachers, Professor Sita Naik, Professor Bhandari, okay, Professor Suraksha Agarwal. Thank you all for the wonderful time I had in SGPGI. Thank you.
Thank you.